I clicked the wrong thing. Good morning, everyone. On today's show, I have three big topics to discuss. First, I'd like to do a final thoughts and recap on both Spider-Man 2 and Super Mario Bros. Wonder, both of which I managed to complete yesterday. Secondly, I would like to talk about the future and what we're going to play next, because there seems to be a little bit of disagreement about that, so I'd like to open that discussion, because on Friday we're going to have an open schedule. And then, there is controversy around the Game Awards. Ooh. Actually, it's more of a follow-up to what we talked about yesterday, because stuff that I talked about is kind of hitting the fan in the gaming community. So all this and more on today's show, right after this. Alrighty. I'll get the timing down someday. Anyway, everyone, welcome to the Level 1 Podcast. Today is Tuesday, the 14th of November, 2023. I'm Darkside Phil, of course. I welcome you here to the show. Many topics to discuss today. Important ones to determine the future of what I'll be doing very shortly here on the streams. And, gaming news all around the Game Awards, all the buzz and everything. So a good show today. And, of course, today we got the premiere of Like a Dragon Gaiden. The game came out a few days ago, but now we're finally getting to start it up because I finished up 2 games yesterday, which we're going to talk about on today's show. Good stuff, right? But before we get to all of this, I have a teeny tiny little follow-up to a topic we've been talking about for the last few days. As you guys know, last week, a documentary was released on me by Turkey Tom, a YouTuber. I've not seen it. I don't have time to watch it, and I've told you guys I'm staying out of drama this year. Like, purposefully, I'm trying to stay out of drama. So, I told you guys, no, I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to react to it. I'm not going to watch this recent Boogie documentary. I'm not going to react to it. I got stuff to do. We got gaming content to put out. We got things like that to work on. But, of course, what happens is people tell me about things that happen in the documentary. And over the past few days, it's just become, common discussion. People will bring up a topic that happened in the documentary. What do you think about this, or what really happened here? And I'll answer, right? So after having several days of this discussion, I guess Turkey Tom actually came out with a video overnight, and basically it's his response video to me, and I guess he addresses some of the things that I said back about his documentary, and he said that he would be open to some kind of a discussion, whether it be like a video call or on the Lol Cow podcast. Do you really think I'm going on the Lol Cow podcast? I mean, no. Under absolutely no fucking circumstances whatsoever would I have anything to do with anything Keemstar related, or especially now Boogie related with, basically what happened in the last year and stuff like that. Hell no. But I will say this publicly. I have always been open to discussion with any of these people who wanted to do a documentary on me. There's never been a closed door policy, but no one's ever asked. People just release stuff on me, literally with no info from me or input from me, right? I mean, don't you think that maybe the documentary would be a little bit better if you get the side of the person you're actually covering in addition to everything else that you're already going to say? I'm just saying, it probably would make it a more complete work, would it not? But that's never happened. In the 15 years I've been making content, not once has a person stepped forward and said, hey, I'd like your side before I make this giant video about you that's going to say a lot of negative things. Well, I guess Turkey Tom is now saying, oh, well, now I'd like to talk to Phil. Well, after the fact, it's not going to have as much of an impact. But, again, I'm not against it. If he wanted to talk to me, there's avenues to contact me. You could DM me on X/Twitter. You could send me an email, darksidefil@hotmail.com. You know, all these avenues. I have all these ways you can contact me for any kind of professional level stuff, if you want to. If you don't want to, that's fine too. You know, I'm not asking for that. Like I said, I'm not out there seeking interviews or anything like that. You know, I'm staying out of drama. But if there were any questions about, you know, things said in the documentary, or, you know, wanted to have a 30-minute discussion about it or whatever, you know, I don't care. What's the big deal, right? The thing is, like I said, at this point, I realize this is going to go on forever. There's always going to be people making this kind of stuff. I'm not offended. I'm not going to stop them. Who cares, right? I have my own life. I have my own stuff to focus on. Like I said, I'm staying out of the drama aspect of it. But it sure would be great if someone could contact me directly for once, rather than, oh, we have to talk in our own content. Like, I'm talking in my podcast and stuff about it and stuff. The avenues are always open. So I don't know why people think I'm such a hard guy to reach or something. I have no clue. I really don't understand it. But anyway, yeah, if he wants to actually talk with me or set something up, he has avenues to publicly do that. Okay? We'll see, I guess. The thing is, like, I'm not going to sit here. My whole agenda is I don't want to debunk the guy. I didn't even see the documentary. You know what I mean? Like, what I've heard is he said certain things about when I was working at helicopter support. What bearing that has on today, I have absolutely no idea. It's a job that I held for 4.5 years before I was a YouTuber. It has nothing to do with the last, like, 15 years of my life. So I don't know how it even applies or what the importance of that discussion is. I don't really get it. So I don't really even know what the topics would be. But, you know, I'm always open to a short discussion or whatever, if that's what people want to do. Okay? Now, it's funny. Someone says no one can DM you on Twitter because they need you to follow them and them follow you. It's completely false. I get DMs all the time on Twitter that I'm not following people and they're not following me. That's nonsense. So, again, I don't know how it works, but I can tell you right now, no, there's tons of people I've talked to through DMs on Twitter that I don't follow them and they don't follow me. So that sounds like nonsense. Anyway, and again, you could easily just email me if you want to talk the other way too. It's fine. But there you go. Anyway, we'll see what happens. I'm not promising anything. As you guys know, I'm busy. I got a lot of stuff going on right now. We're juggling a lot of stuff. But I just want to throw that out there. I'm not a closed off guy, and I'm not against fair discussion about anything. And I'm not here to debunk anything either. Like, I'm not upset that Turkey Tom made a documentary about me, and I'm not here to say, oh, no, I'm here to really slam you and tell you that you really hurt me or anything. I actually don't care or even know what the impact is, because I'm just doing my own thing. I don't, you know, I'm probably the most laid back guy about it at this point in my life. I just don't care, you know. But he said he wanted to talk to me, so all right. If you want to, there's avenues to contact me and we'll talk, okay? All right. Anyway, that's out of the way. Today we now have 3 big topics to talk about. The first is I want to talk about the games I beat yesterday and give you my final thoughts on both now that they're completed. The second is I want to talk about the future. And what I mean by that is I had like a schedule of what I was going to do. And then last night, as I was beating Mario Wonder, some people were actually bringing up the fact that not a lot of people were really watching the Mario Wonder playthrough. There wasn't a lot of engagement. There wasn't a lot of support. And does it really make sense for me to be playing another Mario game right after it? And I was like, I don't know. Let's talk about it then for the next couple of days. We have a couple days to figure out what's next. So let's begin that discussion today. All right? And then lastly, the Game Awards and the controversy around it. Right now, the 2 topics are that Starfield got snubbed and Hogwarts Legacy is completely left out. So we'll talk about that too, because I do have quite a bit to say about both of those topics, okay? All right. Anyway, today's Tuesday. We got 2 more streaming days for the week here before I have my day off on Thursday. I'm excited because today we're starting Like a Dragon Gaiden, which I've been waiting to play ever since last week. And I haven't had a chance to get to it because we had these lingering playthroughs. And now that they're done, yes, now I can get back to Like a Dragon. You know, I love Like a Dragon / Yakuza. And even though this game's a filler game, everyone knows that. The game is only selling for $50. It's on Game Pass. That's how I'm playing it. I think it's going to be fun to jump back into the universe of Yakuza / Like a Dragon for the first time in ages. Like, what was the last game I played? You could argue, well, Like a Dragon Ishin, yeah, but that was a spin-off game set in, you know, samurai times that really isn't in line with everything else. So, This is the first time we're actually playing a game set in that time period and universe in like several years. So I'm excited to jump back in and have this shorter game. You know, unlike an 80-hour typical Yakuza game, this one, everyone's reporting the story's like 12 to 15 hours. And there's side content that's like maybe another 10, 15 hours, but it depends on how much you want to do. So I'm happy that we'll have a fun Yakuza experience / Like a Dragon. I guess I'll just start calling it Like a Dragon from now on. I'm happy we'll have a Like a Dragon experience that won't end up being an insanely long 2-month, 3-month long playthrough, right? We'll probably finish it within a month. You know, and then have it done, because the next one, the RPG, the big one, Infinite Wealth, is coming out in late January. So, excuse me. So, I'm excited for today's game. But before we get to that, let's address the other topics that I have to address first, all right? First topic is, I finished both Spider-Man 2 and Super Mario Bros. Wonder yesterday. I actually didn't plan on doing that, but it just kind of happened that way. Now, admittedly, I didn't 100% either game. There was a possibility that I might have 100%ed either game, all right? But I didn't, and here's why. Spider-Man 2, even though I did every major side quest in the game, and I completed every major side task in the game, there's still this thing where you have to get these spider bots that are in the city. And I even have the ability where it shows the spider bots on the map when you're swinging through the city. Not the big map, but the mini map. And even using that, I mean, I've played the game now for what, like 25 hours? I can't find the damn things. And I know they show these big area of effect, like visual blips when you're near them, and they show on the map. How can you tell me I've been swinging through this city for 25 hours? The spider bots showed up around halfway through the game. How did I not find them, right? It sounds to me like it's one of two things. Either the blips just don't show up that accurately, like maybe they don't show up all the time for some reason, or these spider bots are just too far apart to the point where it's annoying to have to waste time to do it. Like, I'm not kidding. There's like at least a dozen I didn't get. And it's like, am I really going to swing through each area of the map, searching endlessly for these damn things? This is going to be at least another hour, if not more, just to swing through and grab them for what? Like a 30-second cutscene at the end and then a trophy? You know, what's the big deal? The only other thing I didn't do is when you beat the game, there's one more EMF research mission that opens. And if you get that, you get the final outfit of the game and all that. So basically, if I did like one more night stream of Spider-Man 2, there'd be no story or anything because we beat it. But there would be 2 hours of busy work nonsense to get these final trophies in the Platinum. Is this a big deal to me? Not at all. I mean, it adds nothing, right? It doesn't... There's no accomplishment here if you do it. You just get another trophy on your list. I don't really care. And quite frankly, I don't really think that I'm going to get many people to show up for a night stream of me swinging around the city grabbing spider bots and, you know, just getting a trophy at the end. What's the point? So, I stayed late yesterday by almost an hour to finish Spider-Man 2. Here's my overall thoughts about the game. All right, now that I've finished it, I can give you my overall thoughts. Best open world city traversal ever. Yes, the traversal in this game even trumps Batman Arkham City, Batman Arkham Knight. It's better than that, okay? You truly feel like a superhero playing the game. Although, admittedly, with the wingsuit, which I'm not aware was ever a main part of Spider-Man's traversal repertoire, it kind of makes him feel less like Spider-Man and more like Superman in a lot of ways. At the same time, the traversal is never an issue. A lot of people say, well, why don't you fast travel? I mean, why would I? You can literally zip across the city within 60 seconds. You could be across the entire map if you want to, because of the way they built this game. Okay? The city itself, the best designed open world city I've ever seen. Very accurate to what New York City would look like. Of course, it's not 100% accurate, but very accurate with, you know, the things that are in it, and the sights and everything. Actually having tons of people down on ground level, tons of traffic down on ground level. It's not an empty city like you've seen in other games that simulate New York City. The fact that during the course of the game, there's day-to-night transitioning that change the way the city looks is amazing. It just really feels like an organic, living, breathing city. It's the best way to describe it. It feels real, as opposed to, oh, this is a video game I'm playing. It feels like you're in a real city when you're playing this game. Gameplay elements. Well, we already talked about traversal. Well, the other thing is combat and stealth. Stealth, pretty much on par with what it was in Marvel Spider-Man 1, with a few additions. If anything, they made the stealth easier, because now you have the ability to shoot a web pretty much anywhere you want and walk across it like a tightrope, and that just sets up so many stealth takedown situations that it makes it way easier than it was in the previous game. So if you wanted to use stealth, 9 times out of 10, stealth is viable in most of these takedown situations. Combat, free-flowing, very, very open to playing how you want. If you want to do tons of combos, do that. If you want to do gadgets, do that. If you want to do special abilities, do that. If you want to do juggles, you want to toss enemies into each other. Like, for me, I mostly did combos, juggles, and use my abilities. But I know there's things you could pull people, you could toss them into each other. I never even really used those. I didn't have to. You know, the game has so many abilities open during the course of the game that 2 people could play the combat and actually play it completely differently if they so chose. And that's cool. However, I will say this. Man, do you feel way more powerful in this game than in Spider-Man 1. Like, in Spider-Man 1, there were situations where I'm fighting enemies, and it's like, wow, one of the big bruiser guys would come out, and he could kick your ass. Like, he could literally punch you twice and kick your ass. Like, damn, why is this, like, street thug beating my ass? In this game, I never really felt that. In fact, I think I might have lost combat 3 times the entire game. I'm serious about that, too. It just was way easier than the first game because they give you all these abilities right from the start of the game. You know, a lot of other video games would say, oh, you magically lost all your abilities between 1 and 2, right? So now you have to earn them all back. This game doesn't really do that. You start with almost all those basic combat abilities, and then you're unlocking even better ones over the course of the game. So you absolutely feel like you're way powerful at the beginning of this game, and you just keep getting more and more powerful. If anything, the real challenge is in being overwhelmed, because a lot of cases there's just a lot of enemies coming at you at once. But if you're leveling up your abilities properly, like your gadgets and stuff, there's going to be web shooting everywhere and just stopping everything, so it's never really an issue. Really, it's just not really a challenging issue. The game ends up kind of being on the easier side, in my opinion. Boss fights are fun, for the most part. 1 or 2 boss fights where there's a lot of phases, notably the last boss fight. But for the most part, they're not that bad. The story is interesting because it keeps you on your toes at first. The story definitely looks like it's going this one direction, but basically about halfway through the game, the story changes up and ends up going in a completely different direction. And in fact, one plot line that looked like it was going to be the main plot line for the whole game ends at one point, but then the game keeps going in this other plot line direction that maybe you didn't see coming. If anything, the one criticism that I do have for the game is that the final couple hours almost are exactly reminiscent of another Spider-Man game that I played many years ago. And it's almost the same ending. And I was like, well, that's disappointing because it really does feel like they played that game and they felt, oh, if we bring this back 12, 13 years later, this will be a twist ending or whatever. But I played the other game. I was like, damn, it even looks the same and everything. It's kind of the same ending. Without spoiling, if you've played other Spider-Man games, you may feel a little bit too familiar at the end of this game. Let's put it that way, okay? But anyway, overall, after having played this game, it took me about 25 hours to beat it, and I literally did everything in the game except the spider bots, okay? It's a great game. It's superb. If you like superhero games, if you like open world traversal, if you like anything like this, right? Insanely good graphics, right? Just super good on the PS5. I don't think I ever had a situation where I was like, wow, the game looks like shit or anything like that. Although it wasn't perfect. There was a few glitches here or there. Nothing too major. Nothing too bad. Nothing too game-breaking. And, I mean, admittedly, it's been a long time since we've really all collectively sat down together and said, what's the best superhero game? And I think everyone up to this point would have said, well, it's the Arkham trilogy, right? But honestly now, yeah, I do feel like Spider-Man 2 is probably the best superhero game right now ever made. However, does it have the same impact as, say, when Arkham City came out? I don't think so. Why? Well, because now we've had good other superhero games. You know, we had the Arkham trilogy. We had Spider-Man 1, and now we have Spider-Man 2. So we already had great games. This is just slightly better than those, right? As opposed to Arkham City. When Arkham City came out, it blew your socks off because you had never seen a superhero game like that before. Never before have you had a huge open world city to traverse and it felt realistic like Batman. You had all these Batman supervillains showing up and stuff like that. That was groundbreaking. I don't think Spider-Man 2 is groundbreaking. I just think it's best in class, doing well what others have done, but doing it the best. But was there anything in the game that was like, oh my god, I can't believe it's in there? I've never seen that before. No. It just did it the best of that genre. You understand what I'm saying? So, great game. Absolutely a Game of the Year contender. And I really enjoyed it. Okay? Now on to Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Alright? Again, let's recap. I basically 99%ed the game too. What didn't I do? After you've literally done everything there is to do in the game, a final ultimate challenge level opens up. And this challenge level is a crazy gauntlet with incredibly limited checkpoints. And what this gauntlet does, it forces you to use the special badges in a gauntlet setting full of instant deaths. What do you mean by badges? Well, in Super Mario Bros. Wonder, there's a system called badges where you can equip a badge and it gives you a special ability. So you can hover further. You can do a wall jump. Instead of bouncing off, you actually go straight up a step before you bounce off. So it's like better traversal. Stuff like that, okay? And this challenge forces you to essentially master every badge and have tons of memorization, because if you die, you have to redo a gauntlet of badge challenges over and over and over. So you have to master each one, and then if you die on the one you haven't seen yet, you have to re-go through and master all those other ones again and do everything flawlessly. This very much reminds me of Rayman Origins. In Rayman Origins, there was a series of super hard, challenging minecart or racing levels where you're outrunning something, and it was exactly the same kind of gameplay. It's been a long time, you know, since I played a game like that. Now, here's the thing. This is literally the last challenge in the game, and I didn't have a lot of lives. Like, I probably had like 20, 30 lives to try this. And within maybe 20, 25 minutes of doing it, I got far. I got through like 5 or 6 of the badge challenges. So I was going towards like challenge 7 or something. And I ran out of lives. And the game's like, oh, start over from the start. And I was like, what? Yeah, you have to go now and grind for lives in order to go back and even try it again. And I'm like, so wait a minute. So they really expect me to go grind lives, come back, do it again, right? And I'm thinking in my head, there's no pot of gold at the end of this rainbow, right? There's no ultimate reward for beating this stage. You've already done everything else in the game. All it is for e-bragging rights. If you want to say, oh, wow, I beat the super secret ultimate final level of Mario Wonder. And in reality, nobody cares, right? There's a quote that I remember from so long ago when I used to watch the Angry Video Game Nerd in the mid-2000s, right? And it was when he was playing the game The Karate Kid. And the quote, I'm paraphrasing here, but the quote is something like, why do you care? Why do you keep playing this game? You know it's too difficult, and you know that there's no reward at the end. But you're addicted. It's you, and you gotta beat the Nintendo, but the harsh reality is, nobody cares but you. It's exactly right. Even if I sit here, and I say, I'm gonna dedicate my whole night to this level. I'm gonna play other streams to beat this hard level. Does anyone really care? No. Do I gain anything by putting the effort in to beat this final secret level? No. It's not like, here's the thing. If this opened up a whole other ultimate 10 levels of challenge, I'd be like, oh, okay, then it's worth doing. It's, you know, it's kind of a gate to more content. Let's do it. But it's not. This is literally the end of it. Once you beat the level, that's it. You're done. You've done everything in the game 100%. Bye-bye. Have a nice day. So, again, I'm 41 years old. All right? Maybe back in the day I would have cared about this. I don't care about it anymore. I was like, after trying this level for like a half an hour, I was like, guys, I don't want to go grind for lives. I don't want to sit here redoing the same badge challenges 17, 18, 20, 40 times just to get to the one I haven't beaten yet, and then have to start them all over because there's no proper checkpoints here. They did it on purpose. I'm done with this. And so instead we did an hour of chilling, which I was happy with. I was much more happy to just chill with my audience for an hour than to sit there and torture myself for another hour for nothing. Literally just bragging rights to myself, right? Who gives a shit? So, I did see 99.9% of the game. I just didn't see the final, like, 4 badge challenges or whatever was left in the game. Okay? So, that all being said, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, I should say. Okay? The best 2D Mario experience I've had since the 1990s. It's better than New Super Mario Brothers, New Super Mario Brothers Wii, New Super Mario Brothers Wii U, and all the remakes and remasters of those games. It's much better than those games. all right? Tons of new power-ups, tons of new gameplay mechanics introduced, so many new enemies introduced. The wonder aspect, where every single stage has a hidden flower, and when you touch it, it transforms the stage, and it now has all these elements of new hidden challenge or something cool and different that morphs the stage into something unique. Super good. Makes it have so much fun and variety. You always are wondering, what are they going to pull out on the next stage? I wonder. And it gets good. Even by the end of the game, they're still introducing new stuff you haven't seen before. You're like, wow, they put so much effort into this game. It really feels that way. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely ultra creative. And what's weird is, here's a franchise, right? 2D Mario has been out since what, the 1980s? And they were able to pull this off in 2023. You know, 30, 40 years later, they're still making a game that's the same style, but completely innovative in so many different ways. That's an accomplishment, you know? The graphics are great. The fact that you can pick different characters is nice, although they all play the same. There are the crutch characters that are way easier to play with, but the standard characters is fun to mix between them and all of that. You know, really cool. In fact, no exaggeration, the only criticism that I have for Super Mario Bros. Wonder is that the music, in my opinion, doesn't hold a candle to music of previous Mario games. Like, I could tell you very notable music from Super Mario Bros. 1, 2, 3, World, even new Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Galaxy, Super Mario 64, Super Mario Odyssey. I could quote songs from all of those games. I could hum them right now. I beat Super Mario Wonder 99.9% of it, right? I can't remember any music from it. And that sucks, because I feel like maybe that's one thing that's being lost in gaming today, is that we have so many good soundtracks, or I should say, not good, but so many soundtracks of an elevated level, so many full orchestras that now play music, or rock band that plays music. When you have that constant now, nothing really stands out. Everything just feels kind of samey, right? Maybe if this soundtrack had released in the 1980s, it would have been amazing. I would remember it, but it's kind of like I'm playing the game and I'm like, I don't really remember any of the music of the game, and I wonder why. Like, I think the only I remember one. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun, and it's kind of like a slow-paced, almost like feels like a triumphant, adventurous theme. That's the one theme I remember of the whole game, but that's nowhere near as catchy as a lot of the other tunes from other Mario games. You know what I'm saying? But you know what? If that's my major criticism of the game, damn, that game's good, right? And I agree. And the funny part is about Mario games these days, every time I play one, half my audience, no exaggeration, half my audience says, oh, that's a kiddie game. Why is Phil playing that game? We don't like Mario. We don't support Mario. Those are for children. Why is he playing something on the Switch, first party? Oh, my God. You know, they hate on Nintendo. I don't know why, because I don't hate on Nintendo. I'm critical of Nintendo when they make bad business decisions and they do silly things. And I always call them out for their horse shit. But at the same time, I love first-party Nintendo games. Why do you think I've owned every Nintendo console, right? Like, I really enjoy their stuff. So, the thing that gets me about it is I play this amazing Mario game, Mario Wonder. And every time I played it, less attendance, less engagement, less support. Everyone, so half the people complaining, oh, it's Mario. It's like, oh my God. You know, I don't get it. This is a super good game. Ladies and gentlemen, undoubtedly, Super Mario Bros. Wonder is one of the best games of 2023 and will absolutely be in my top 10 games of the year countdown. There's no way it can't be. It's that good. It's that good of a game. It doesn't matter if it's of a genre that's been around for 40 years and you think that it's for kids. It's still insanely fun with great innovation, a ton of content, great production values. You can't shit on that unless you're ignorant. Sorry. You can say, I don't like it and it's not for me. And that's one thing. That's an opinion. Versus outright saying, oh, that sucks because it's for kids. That's ignorance. That's the difference. It's a statement of personal preference versus a statement of fact. There's no fact that this game sucks. Okay? There is none. You can say it sucks because you personally don't like it, but you can't factually, objectively say the game sucks. It doesn't. Okay? So, yeah, I loved it. And I'm happy that we played it, even though there were many times during the playthrough people were calling for me to drop it, which really pisses me off. The game is super good. I'm enjoying myself. And, you know, this is one of the cases where I hate to say it, I've always followed the philosophy that if I'm on a stream and I'm playing a game and I'm enjoying the game, and that enjoyment is truly coming through in the stream to you guys, then hopefully that will carry over, and that will allow you to enjoy the content that I'm putting out, and you'll enjoy the game, and then you'll engage, and you'll support, and it all goes hand in hand. All that positivity reciprocates, right? And for the most part, that's true. For the most part, yes, when I'm playing a game and I'm having a good time with it and I'm enjoying it, that reciprocation happens. With these Mario games, it doesn't. It didn't happen with Mario Odyssey. It didn't happen with this one. Every time I play a Mario game, it's like people crap on the game. I can't get them to stop. It's frustrating because I know these games are good. I love them. But I can't get my audience to be in line with the kind of stuff that I like all the time. And this is definitely a case of that. Okay? So, that being said, loved it. All right? So, both these games, Spider-Man 2 and Super Mario Brothers Wonder, Game of the Year contenders, 25 to 30 hour playthrough experiences, outstanding games, and I'm very happy that I played them. Now you can watch their playthroughs in their entirety here on DSPGaming. All right? Now that is done, all right, let's talk about the schedule and let's talk about the future, because this is a very important discussion, all right? Today we're doing Like a Dragon Gaiden, premiere stream, 3+ hours of gameplay. We'll get into the meat of the game. We'll see what it's all about. Tonight, more Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer, and we'll do the daily challenges. I'm not going to be using that SMG. I was using that SMG almost the whole last stream. I don't like it. It's the Striker or whatever. I really don't like it. It's not for me. I don't know if I'll go to another assault rifle or a battle rifle or a marksman rifle or I don't know. Or LMG maybe. I haven't used an LMG at all yet. We're going to do something different with my loadout tonight because I absolutely am not really enjoying that SMG. All right. I want to play the game and enjoy it and not be frustrated because my gun's not killing anybody. All right. But that should be fun tonight on the late stream, 6:45 p.m. Pacific time. Tomorrow, more Like a Dragon Gaiden. And now because we have beaten both Mario and Spider-Man, we don't need that night stream, so we could do another stream of Modern Warfare 3. So that's what I'm down for, all right? Now, I'm off from streaming tomorrow, or excuse me, Thursday. So Thursday, no streams. That's my day off, running errands, spending time with my family, etc. But now herein lies the question, all right? A very important question. What's next? Because we have lots of options, all right? Now, originally my plan was that this Friday, Super Mario Brothers or Super Mario RPG Remake comes out on the Switch, all right? I was down for playing it, 100%. I played Super Mario RPG in the 1990s. I was blown away. It's actually made by Square Enix, the makers of Final Fantasy, and it has elements of turn-based, RPG action plus some important movement elements. Like you actually do button inputs and things during the combat to make it better. Okay, to make it more different than just turn-based. There's exploration. There's optional fun and content in there. There's a really good story, by the way. The story is super good in that game, okay? Now, this also is a remake with better graphics, new gameplay elements. They're actually introducing brand new gameplay elements to the game, and a redone soundtrack by the original composer. They rehired the original composer of the game to come back and redo her tracks from the 1990s in a modern setting. So how cool is that, right? Really darn cool. Now, I played Super Mario RPG 4 years ago, in 2019, okay? I loved it. I remember kind of a mixed reaction from my audience because it's a classic game, and not everyone's going to like me playing a classic game. But I remember playing it. It was on the Switch Virtual Console on the Super Nintendo. And I had a good time with it. I really did having a good time with it. All right? So, the question is, what would happen if I play Super Mario RPG again? Okay? Here's the thing. All right? Number one, I just played a Mario game. All right? And coming off of Mario Brothers Wonder, it didn't do so well. Honestly, attention, when it came to attendance, engagement, and support on that playthrough, within a stream or two, had dropped dramatically. And Mario was the ongoing game that sadly, we just didn't get a lot of attention on. And that's sad, because I really do feel like I said, it's a Game of the Year contender, but for some weird reason, it doesn't resonate with my audience. I don't get why, but, it is what it is, right? In addition to that, right now, we're going to be playing Like a Dragon Gaiden. Now, I'm certainly not saying that Like a Dragon Gaiden is anything like Super Mario RPG. They are not. They are completely different universes. But they are RPGs. They're lengthy. They're okay. They're not as lengthy because, just so everyone knows, because I should say this up front, Super Mario RPG is a pretty short game. It's only about 15 to 18 hours long tops. Even if you do all the content in the game, it's still a short game, okay? And, it is what it is. I know that I would enjoy it. I know if I played this new version with the better graphics, the better gameplay elements, and the better music, I would absolutely love this playthrough, okay? But I guess these days, it's not just about what I like. It has to be something that we're all going to like and enjoy, right? And I am nervous that coming off of a Mario game I just finished, right? Then what else would I be doing in place of it? I don't know. See, the thing is with Mario RPG Remake, it's already an old game. It's already out there. It's not like, oh, it's a new game. I could play it later, too. We don't have to play it immediately right now. If you guys really think that there's a situation here where it's too much Mario, it's Mario overload, back to back, then that's okay. I understand that. And if you want to wait, maybe we could play Mario RPG like in December or something. I'd be okay with that if that's what you guys think. Maybe playing Like a Dragon Gaiden along with Mario RPG right now is too much. RPG overload, right? I don't know. Right? So, I guess the question is, what should I do? Because here's the thing. I'm down for playing Mario RPG this Friday if that's what you guys want. I'm 100% on board. I'll play it. I'm down. I like the game a lot. All right? But if not, if this is something that we shouldn't do now, we have to figure out very quickly what to do. All right? And there are some options out there. Let's weigh and balance some of these options that we currently have. All right? I would say option number 1 would be a whole new game. But what games? Well, what games have I kind of missed out on in the last several, weeks to month, that I skipped or just didn't get to because I was busy with other stuff? Well, definitely one of the ones that people have been asking for is this RoboCop game. Now, I don't know if this RoboCop game would be anything that would hold interest. I haven't really seen footage of it. You know me, I've enjoyed the RoboCop movies, and I like first-person shooters. That still doesn't mean that this is going to translate into, a playthrough that's going to be fun for you guys. I don't know. If you guys have seen other people play it and you know much about it, I don't know. But I'm on the fence about it because I really am not convinced. I also don't know how long it is, too. That's another thing. Like, if I'm going to buy this game or whatever, I don't know if it's going to be something that's going to be a longer playthrough or a real short one, right? Excuse me. So I'm a little confused about that. Now, another one that's a possibility that you guys, had asked for at one point, but we purposefully held off on, and maybe it was a really good choice to do so, was The Lords of the Fallen, all right? Now, I just played Lies of P, which was a FromSoft, Soulsborne-style spin-off game that played like Bloodborne. Superb game. Absolutely loved it. One of my favorite games of the year by far, right? When The Lords of the Fallen came out, immediately, people started criticizing it, saying, wow, it really runs like shit. And this was not on just one. It was every platform. Everyone was criticizing. The game just had tons of performance issues. Very big choppiness and problems. And people were like, this is a problem in a game like this because it's a tough game. These enemies hit for insane damage. At any moment, you could just die. And with the frame rate chugging in the game, not performing well and crashing and having issues, it basically makes it that the game's not very fun to play. Now, that was a month ago, right? So in a month, you would think that hopefully they've patched it and made it run better. But now, and this is definitely a problem when it comes to these style of games. What people are saying now is, oh, they patched the shit out of the game, and now it's nothing like it was at launch, and it's not good anymore. Huh? Yeah, apparently, I guess that this seems to happen with a lot of these style of games, is people complain that the game is too hard, or this part's unfair, and so then the game developers listen, and they basically bend over and give in to these kind of demands of the gamers, and they patch it and make it way easier. So people are saying now is, oh, the game's not nearly as good as it was when it came out. So if you play it now, it won't be as fun of an experience or something, right? I don't know. I haven't played it. I didn't play the game at launch. I couldn't attest to what I'm hearing. This is just what I'm hearing. All right. In fact, it's weird because when Lies of P came out, there was a lot of buzz around it, and for a couple of weeks people talked about it, and then of course people moved on to other games. When Lords of the Fallen came out, like literally all I heard was complaints for a week that the game performed poorly, and since then I have heard absolutely nothing about this game at all. No one's talking about it. It's as if it never released. Like, it's not in anyone's discussions. It's like everyone who's still talking about stuff, they'll talk about Lies of P. No one talks about the Lords of the Fallen game. So what happened? How did it sell? We're a month after it released. No one knows how it sold. No discussions about that anywhere. It's like, what happened? I am confused. I'm genuinely confused. Like, what's going on with the game? You know? So here's the thing. And I looked it up last night. The game is still $80. $80. It didn't go down in price or anything yet. And I'm kind of apprehensive about dropping $80 on a game that might not perform well on a console, that likely people are going to complain it's still not nearly as good as it was because they patched the shit out of it, right? Plus, I kind of just played Lies of P, so I don't know. I'm not really sold on the Lords of the Fallen. I was on board to play this game, but now it just seems like the situation it doesn't really make sense. Like, if this game was like $40, I'd be like, yeah, let's do it, right? But $80 for a game no one's talking about, and no one is really, you know what I mean? There's no buzz around it or anything. It's just kind of, meh. It's like, I don't know, man. That just sounds way too expensive, and it sounds like something that I might invest way too much in, and then people don't like it. What if I played 2 streams of it, and we're like, meh, this game sucks, right? And I was like, damn, I dropped $80 on this fucking stinker, right? So, I don't know. So, we have already, we got Super Mario RPG, RoboCop, The Lords of the Fallen. Well, what else could I do? Well, people are saying it in the chat. They're saying, why don't you return to Elden Ring? Okay? Well, I could do that. I haven't played Elden Ring in a million years. If you remember, earlier this year, I was doing my second run in the game. This was my magic run. And I got to the point where now I was very OP with the magic. Using the buffs and using everything I was using, and I do the giant magic beam, which I forget what it's called. I was melting bosses. I had just melted the corrupted dragon boss, right? The one that you fight in front of, what's his name? Godric, whatever the fuck his name is or whatever. You go into his dream and you fight the corrupted dragon boss. I kicked its ass. Like, I melted this fucking thing with the spell. And that's where we left off. There's still a lot to go. We still have the entire, final third of the game. We have to go to the frozen areas and all of that. We still have the Halley tree, right? And the final areas and dungeons and everything. So we could do that if you guys really wanted me to do that. And yeah, that wouldn't last forever, but that would be something. Now, some people in the chat are saying Sea of Stars. Now, here's the thing. I'm totally down for Sea of Stars. Everyone says Sea of Stars is the spiritual successor to Chrono Trigger. People played it earlier this summer. It came out on Game Pass, still on Game Pass. People absolutely love this game, and they want to see me play Sea of Stars, right? But, again, what's the Sea of Stars instead of Super Mario RPG? Like, they're basically 2 very similar games. They're turn-based RPGs. They play like retro games. I don't really see that being a better option than Super Mario RPG. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm down for Sea of Stars. I want to play Sea of Stars. But I don't think that it makes sense to have Sea of Stars as the alternative to the other JRPG that's the new game for Friday. Do you see what I'm saying? Of course, the final thing that people are saying is Baldur's Gate 3. We've already talked about a million times why that's not going to happen. Number one, it's too long of a game. And the fact that we're in a situation where I'm already going to be playing other RPGs and stuff, I can't play those kind of games at the same time. Number two, we already tried a game similar to that. It did not work. I already told you guys. We have options. And with a game like Baldur's Gate 3, that would be a playthrough that we would need to do during an extended period of downtime when you know that there's not going to be any other similar games coming out, when you know that it could be a focus. It wouldn't be right now. It wouldn't, it wouldn't be. I'd be playing a lot of other games and other things that are going to be very similar or whatever, and it wouldn't make sense right now. Like, that's a good summertime playthrough when there's no other RPGs going on, and you play it in the months of like June, July, August, and you could dedicate a lot of time to it and stuff like that. It's not a good time for now, mid-November, when we've got multiple other RPGs coming out. We've got Like a Dragon Gaiden that I'm just starting. We got another Like a Dragon RPG coming in late January, and then we've got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in February. It's like, we have all these RPGs. Do you really want RPG? And by the way, I would not finish Baldur's Gate 3 in time for those others. So now you're juggling multiple RPGs at once. It would never make any sense. Okay? It's that simple. All right? So basically, we have all these options, but nothing really stands out as the definitive frontrunner. For me, Super Mario RPG Remake was the frontrunner. I thought for sure that would be what everyone would want to see. But it's weird that I'm getting feedback that's like, no, you just played a Mario game. It didn't even do that well. Why would you jump right into another Mario game, right? Even though it's not a Mario game, it really is a turn-based RPG. It plays nothing like other Mario games. So, the other question I have for you guys is, if not Super Mario RPG, if not RoboCop, if not The Lords of the Fallen, if not Sea of Stars, if not Elden Ring, if not any of those options, then what? Right? What? What else? Right? I would love to hear your feedback on this. So I don't know if I should hold a poll. I don't know if I should just try to listen to your feedback in the chat for the next couple of days. We need to make the decision by the end of tomorrow. We have to. We only have today and tomorrow to determine, because the daytime stream on Friday is up in the air. Okay? So, we have to decide. Now, on top of everything I just mentioned, this next week, okay? Number one, Street Fighter 6 is returning. Street Fighter 6 has now been on hiatus for about a month. And even I'm craving it, Now, what do I want to do when I play Street Fighter 6? I don't know. I don't know if I want to pick a character like Dalsim and Zangief and try them out in casual and ranked and try to get back into the swing of things with a character like that. I don't know if I want to go back to Blanca and try him in Master Rank again. I really don't know what I want to do. I'm kind of completely undecided on this. So I don't know. I don't know what to do in that regard. But I definitely want to bring it back. Not at a full-time capacity, but maybe having a stream or two of it a week on a night stream for variety purposes. That's good because we can balance that with Modern Warfare 3, so it's not always about just Modern Warfare 3 on multiplayer. You could also have Street Fighter variety. Now, in addition, with Modern Warfare 3, I do want to try Warzone next week. This week was all about multiplayer, but next week I absolutely, I want to try that Battle Royale and see if it's any good. I don't know if it's going to be any good. It could suck ass. Because last year I liked Warzone at first, then they patched it and changed it and rebalanced it, and it sucked. And I never played it again. Right? So, I want to give that a shot. So, I'll probably try that next week on a late stream and see how it goes. Okay? And go from there. Alright? So, there you go. What else? Well, again, weighing and balancing everything, I want to finish Starfield, but I made the determination at this point, oh, really? The Modern Warfare 3 update for Warzone doesn't come out till December? So there's no point in doing Warzone until December because it's the same as last year's? Oh, well, then forget it. All right, thanks for telling me that. I didn't even know that. So, all right, no Warzone next week. Then never mind. I'll play it in December when they update it to the new one. Thank you for telling me that because I had no idea. Okay. The other thing is Starfield. Starfield we played 40 hours into. Now, admittedly, when we finally last played and we saw that big story twist, it completely shut off any desire I had to play the game. I'm not kidding you. That story, even though you might argue, oh, that story is unique for a video game, it's a storyline that literally destroys your desire to ever play the game ever again. Without spoiling, it's hard for me to explain it. But basically, the way that they wrote the story, is once you hit a certain point of the story, it's like nothing you do matters. It's all just a waste of your time. And it's weird because I had 2 entire factions left. I had that Ryujin faction, the Crimson Fleet faction left to do. I had all this stuff to do. I'm like, oh, I'm going to do it all companion missions. And then when we hit that part in the story, it's like, wow, I just don't care anymore. You've literally destroyed my desire to do anything meaningful in your game. So I think it's probably some of the dumbest writing, maybe not the worst writing, but some of the dumbest writing I've ever seen in a video game. Obviously, the person who wrote the plot didn't consult anyone with a fucking brain to see if this would be a good idea for a gameplay element. And I haven't played Starfield since, right? Now, in regards to that, there's still story left. I at least want to see how the storyline ends. All right? So, from what I understand, people were like, yeah, you probably got like 4 to 6 hours left in the story and the game's done. So, I do want to go back and play that. Probably as late night streams, you know, like 2-hour increments or whatever. So, there you go. So, now the question is, if the daytime streams are going to be like a Dragon Gaiden, and if the night streams are going to be a balance between some Street Fighter, some Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer, and every once in a while a Starfield stream, we're all good there. But what we need is one more game to balance on daytime streams. And we don't have one. Because it was going to be Mario RPG, but now people seem to be telling me, don't play that. So what is it going to be, right? And the thing is, I feel like I'm in a situation right now where it's kind of like you're damned no matter what you do. Because this happened earlier this year, where there was no consensus on what to play. So I knew no matter what I chose, people were going to be disappointed. Some people want this, some people want this, some people want this, some people want this. And no matter what I play, everyone else, oh, you didn't play what I wanted, right? If you want my personal take, all right, I would say either Super Mario RPG or RoboCop would probably be the 2 that I'm most interested in, all right? Why not the Lords of the Fallen? Well, because I played Lies of P, which was so good. I feel like if I play the Lords of the Fallen, I'm just going to be disappointed because it's not going to be as good as Lies of P. I've already heard as such that the performance issues and everything, it's just not going to be as good of a game. And the whole time I'm just going to be playing and be like, man, I wish I was playing more Lies of P because this is inferior, right? So that's number 1. Number 2, when it comes to the other games, like for example, bringing back Elden Ring, I think that would only a small group would care about that right now. You know, people liked that when there was nothing else going on. But now that we have other options of newer games, I don't think that Elden Ring really works. You know what I mean? Sea of Stars, I would love to play, but I don't think people would watch it now. I just don't believe it. I think, like, if people want... You know, why are you playing that when Super Mario RPG's out, right? So, for me, like, I think the 2 front runners for me would still be either Super Mario RPG or RoboCop. But I don't know. It's really up to you guys. So let me know. You know, let me know. I want your feedback. And what I'll do is I'll try to take in your feedback today to see what you guys think. And I'll try to weigh and balance based on what you're saying. And then maybe tomorrow, if we don't have a definitive answer yet, we will run a poll. We'll see. But I definitely got to figure this out. You know, fast, too. We have to figure this out by the end of tomorrow. Or else we're going to be floating around not knowing what to play on Friday. And, you know me, I want to tell you guys what I'm doing so people can plan. People want to know, well, what's Phil doing on each individual stream so we know if we need to show up for that stream or what he's doing, right? So, I don't want to disappoint people by not having a plan. No one knows what I'm doing on Friday, right? Okay. All right. As you guys can see, there's no agreement. Like, everyone in chat saying something different. So that's the worst, when everyone is in a disagreement situation because you don't know what to do. I feel like no matter what I pick, people will be like, oh, you picked the wrong thing, right? So I really don't know. Yeah, I don't know, man. By the way, how long is RoboCop? Can anyone confirm that? Because I don't know the answer. I know Super Mario RPG is 15 to 18 hours long. How long is RoboCop of a playthrough? Does anyone know? It's 12. Excuse me. It's 20 to 30 hours. Wow, that's much longer than I thought. RoboCop took me along 18 hours as the executioner. Damn. That's a long for a first-person shooter. That's really long. All right. I have to blow my nose, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about the Game Awards. All right? Give me a second. I'll be right back. Okay. I'm back. All right. So before we get to that, guys, if you could, please support the streams today. Very important. Strong end to the week here, hopefully. And that means many things. First of all, I'm trying to rebuild members. It would be great if we get some new members today, play a new game. Usually we could get an influx of support. So if you're thinking of supporting stuff today, maybe become a member or gift a membership to the community. It would be a great time to do that. We'll probably have a good attendance today. Tips would be very appreciated. Tips are really weird recently because some days they're like really great and then other days they're just really slow and they're kind of all over the place. As you know, tips are the liquidity that I use for things such as buying new games. Whatever game I buy for Friday is paid for by tips. My groceries every week are paid for by tips. Pet supplies for Jasper Kitty, who just came into the office, is paid for by tips. So, if you like the content, if you enjoy it, if you want to support it and see it keep coming, please consider supporting in some way today. It could be anything. It could be as simple as a like on the stream or video you're watching. It could be a super chat. It could be a gifted membership or a standard membership for yourself or a tip. All right? Thank you in advance. All right. Let's talk about these Game Awards, folks. We have two really, really big controversial things going on in regards to the Game Awards nominees that came out yesterday morning. Now, if you want my full opinion on the Game Award nominees, you should check out yesterday's podcast from November 13th because we had a giant segment about it. All right? But there are two hot topics. Let's talk about them. Topic number one. Once again, no Microsoft Studios game has been nominated for Game of the Year. Very few Microsoft Studios games really got nominated for anything. And most notably, Starfield is not a contender for Game of the Year at the Game Awards this year. Okay? Now, there's two sides of the argument here. On the one side, you've got people who really, really like Starfield. And they're very upset. And they're saying they've had it up to here with the Game Awards. That the Game Awards is obviously biased against Microsoft. That never do any of their games get nominated for Game of the Year ever, right? And it's completely unfair because they felt that Starfield was a shoo-in for a contender. Maybe not the winner, but a shoo-in at least for a contender for Game of the Year. And the fact that it was not nominated is a huge slight, and that the Game Awards are biased towards Microsoft. How is it that every year multiple Sony-related games get nominated for Game of the Year? The PC community games always get nominated for Game of the Year, but never Xbox. Never once does an Xbox or Microsoft game get nominated. How is it possible that never there's a good Xbox game? Correct? So, that's one side of the argument. Okay? The other side of the argument is the complete and polar opposite. It's, well, what did you expect? Did you not play the game? Starfield is a huge disappointment. Number one, on consoles, it runs at 30 frames per second or less. That's unacceptable in the modern era. Its performance is terrible on consoles. Number two, It's a cookie cutter game. It literally follows all the tropes and all the things Bethesda has always done. And that's the only places where it actually is fun to play. Anywhere where the game ventures outside of that cookie mold, right? It sucks. The aerial combat is blah. It's nothing to write home about. It's not well done. It's not fun. Building your ship is a chore. It's like building a model with a bunch of parts that don't fit into each other, and it wasn't done in an intuitive way that made any sense whatsoever. And it's very frustrating, okay? What about the traversal in space? Non-existent. There's no reason to fly around because fast travel's better, right? Well, what about the world exploration? Pointless. Most of the planets are completely empty. You can just fast travel between the major cities anyway. Literally building outposts on planets, which was touted to be a major feature of this game, is worthless. You don't ever need to do it because you can get all the resources you need just by playing the game naturally for everything. What about all the new features like the research trees and the modding of weapons? Worthless. You don't ever need to research a thing in the game. It's completely worthless. You don't need to make food. You find enough healing items. You don't need to mod weapons. You find enough new ones. So, again, all the new systems that they added into Starfield to say, oh, it's our new IP, this is why, they all suck. So if everything about your game that's new sucks, your game sucks. Or you ignore all those new things and you play it like you're playing Fallout or like you're playing Elder Scrolls, in which case you're not even playing a new game. And sadly, that's really the situation with Starfield, is the game doesn't really excel at anything new or innovative. It just excels at the same stuff you've already done a million times playing a Bethesda game. And how long have you had that formula? Since Oblivion, probably, you could argue. Because I would say probably Morrowind's a little outdated and doesn't play the same. But I mean, yeah, ever since Oblivion, you've been playing a game like this. So how many decades are you going to be playing the same game from Bethesda, right? So why would you think that that game was going to be nominated for Game of the Year, right? But the thing is, there's this weird community of people who love Bethesda and Xbox so much that they don't see or they don't accept those criticisms. Instead, they just kind of like, they go like this, right? They go, see no evil, hear no evil. They can't hear what you're saying. To them, this is like the best game that Bethesda's ever made. It's so innovative. It was worth the wait. It was worth the hype. It's so good, right? Oh my God. But it's like, but then you'll hit them with this stuff and they'll be like, like, you know, it's ridiculous. And, you know, listen, I love Bethesda games. I like Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4, Oblivion, Skyrim. I've played all these games. They're all superb. Great gameplay experiences. Again, ones that I would replay again and again. I can't barely, I haven't finished Starfield. I can't even get through it. It's just so fucking boring. It's just not a very engaging, interesting universe, right? When you think of Fallout, you think bottle caps, radiation in the end of the world, ghouls, super mutants, the armor, the vaults, the bobbleheads. You think all these cool, unique things, right? When you think Elder Scrolls, you think, ooh, the elves, the Dwemer, robots, the Daedra demons, the mysticism about it, you know, all kinds of cool fantasy aspects, the commerce system, castles, all this shit. It's all Elder Scrolls synonymous. When you think Starfield, what the fuck do you think about, right? It's just so boring. They didn't really even create an engaging universe where you would want to go back time after time. Instead, it's kind of like, okay, it just kind of exists, right? So there you go. So here's the thing. With this criticism of the Game Awards, I'm sorry, I have to disagree with it. If Starfield was some kind of an amazing, groundbreaking game, and it got snubbed, that's one thing. Starfield is literally one of the most disappointing games I've ever seen in my life. It's a new IP that really isn't even a new IP. It's old gameplay mechanics hidden under a new skin to claim it's new when it's not. Everything attempted to be new is a disappointment and a failure and boring as shit. So, it's not a Game of the Year contender. It's not even one of the more average games of this year, honestly. It's just a huge disappointment, especially when you get to that point in the plot. And you're like, holy shit, they really had no idea what the fuck they were doing. They wrote themselves into a corner that makes the game completely worthless. I mean, that's just dunce level writing, and that's what they chose to do with the plot. I mean, that's just, you have to be a moron. I don't know what else to say. You know? All right. Now, the other big criticism of the Game Awards. This is one that I had talked about way early on this year, and I felt this was going to happen. And ladies and gentlemen, it has happened. Exactly as I had predicted. Okay? Hogwarts Legacy has been completely snubbed by the Game Awards. Now, keep in mind, Hogwarts Legacy in February was an insanely well-selling game. All right? Even though critics, half the time, refuse to even play the game because of the politics of the creator of the Harry Potter universe, J.K. Rowling, they decided that this game didn't exist. But for those who actually played it, and for those who actually reviewed it, they pretty much all agreed it was an outstanding game. It's the best Harry Potter game ever made. It's a game with incredible world design, incredible art design, implementation of the lore of a universe that up to this point we'd only seen kind of in books and movies, and turning it into a truly interactive open world experience, the likes of which you've never seen before, right? In fact, if you are a fan of Harry Potter, like, the only thing that you could probably argue is completely missing from Hogwarts Legacy is Quidditch. They didn't put it in it. They have the arena, and they didn't put it in there. And that's pretty darn sad that it wasn't in there, because that is a thing that is kind of synonymous with the Harry Potter universe and the great lore of it. But outside of Quidditch being missing, everything else was there. You had your synonymous, your enemies, right? There are different enemy types and things, different kinds of magic. The combat being implemented was interesting in the way that they did it. Again, being able to explore the actual Hogwarts Academy of Magic, and then also going out to the towns and things around Hogwarts and seeing how this world is built in a 3D environment, and how, you know, geographically how it's laid out and all of that, and seeing things that are iconic in the Harry Potter universe in this game, right? In this world. And in fact, as I was playing the game, I told you guys it wasn't perfect, right? I was honest. I said basically the problem with, excuse me, the real problem with Hogwarts Legacy is that when you get to the final third of the game, you've seen the game. There's really nothing new in the whole final third of the game. And it feels like they kind of ran out of ideas. There's really no new magic that's implemented, or the magic that is implemented is too similar to the magic you already have. There's no new traversal. It's all just riding the broomstick around and doing things like that. It's the same kind of puzzles. It's the same kind of dungeons. It's all the same kind of stuff, right? So once you get to that point of the final third of the game, it definitely fizzles out. The ending of the game is interesting, but that whole final 10, 15 hour experience is kind of boring, right? So, yeah, it's not absolutely flawless or anything, but the fact that you have a world that for the first time ever, a truly immersive, interactive version of the Harry Potter universe in a video game, just there, it should have gotten nominations for art direction and things like that. This game got completely snubbed by the Game Awards, right? Now, yesterday I told you about how the Game Awards work. The games that are nominated for any award are nominated by 120 gaming journalists and game community insiders. What does that mean? It basically means people that are goody-goody friendly with Jeff Keighley, his buddies in the gaming industry, all right? It's not representative of the common gamer. The common gamer plays more games than a gaming journalist, because when a gaming journalist plays a game, they have to try to rush through a game to put out a game review of it, and then they're on to the next. They don't have time to immerse themselves in a game world. They don't have time to play a wide variety of games, because a lot of these gaming journalists are known as genre specialists. So you might have one journalist who plays all the RPGs in a year, one journalist who plays all the shooters in a year, but they don't carry over. And because they don't carry over, how can you legitimately value the opinion of someone who's had only this tunnel vision view of games for the year? Now, let's be very honest, all right? Hollywood and the whole artistic community, for the most part, is incredibly liberal. They're incredibly leftist. All right? This is not a statement of opinion. This is a statement of fact. It just is. That whole community is incredibly leftist. So are gaming journalists. They're all for progressiveness. They're all for advancement of that kind of stuff. Now, I'm not against that. I like having inclusion in games. I like having more variety in games, right? But with J.K. Rowling, the creator of Harry Potter, basically being an outspoken person when it comes to, you know, being how can I say? Basically, people see her as being anti-trans, okay? I've seen things she said that are very anti-trans, and I've seen things that she said that aren't really anti-trans, but people take it that way. I've seen all different things, okay? I'm not here to debate that. I really don't give two shits either way what the real argument here is. The problem is that when you take those kind of political stances, right, and you somehow transfix them now onto a video game, is that really journalistic integrity, right? Remember, there were journalists, gaming journalists, who outright said, we refuse to play Hogwarts Legacy. We're ignoring this game like it doesn't exist. Well, did J.K. Rowling make the game? No. Did she have a hand in its development? No. Did she actually have any determination on anything that was in the game? No. It's just her source material that was turned into the game. In fact, if any of those gaming journalists actually played the game, there is a trans character in the game who's one of the main characters of the plot, necessary for story advancement, that's incredibly well written, and is one of the more positive portrayals of anyone in the entirety of the game. So how can you say that this game is anti-trans? You can't if you actually played it. But they refuse to play it because they're ignorant. Instead of just saying, okay, listen, we don't agree with the politics of J.K. Rowling, but this game was not made by J.K. Rowling. It's just the source material. But look, it's advanced, it's better. It actually is teaching good lessons that trans people are real people and they could be great influences on other people around them. They could be part of a great story. They're just a natural part of life. Let's accept them. Here they are. They're accepted in the game. But no, ignore all that because we don't like the person who wrote the source material. So act like it doesn't exist, right? Like, again, here we go. Cover our eyes, cover our ears. This doesn't exist. It's the mentality of a 4-year-old, right? So, since most of the gaming media actively panned or ignored this game because of J.K. Rowling's politics, did you really think that any of them were going to nominate it for awards at the Game Awards? And this is the problem with the Game Awards. This is not representative of the quality of the games that came out this year. This is representative of the personal preferences and opinions of the friend group of Jeff Keighley. And that's not right. If you actually poll gamers this year, I guarantee you, overall, gamers would tell you that that game, at very least, should be in the running for things such as best art direction and things like that. Maybe it's not Game of the Year, but it absolutely should be nominated for some awards, even if they're not the big one, right? Gamers don't agree with these political stances. Gamers just want to fucking play games. I don't want to sit here and every time I boot up a game, I have to worry about, oh God, is someone offended by something in this game? Or was one of the people who wrote the source material an asshole on fucking Twitter? And now we have to worry if, oh God, is someone going to yell at me because I'm playing this fucking video game? No one cares. With a brain, that is. But when your whole life turns into a political argument about something, this is the problem, is that your whole life is inundated with this kind of crazy periphery thoughts, right? For those of us who buy a video game, what do we buy it for? So we can boot it up, and during our busy lives, our stress-filled lives, we can escape. We want to escape the realm of politics, religion, money, and finances, war, sickness, illness, COVID. We want to ignore all that fucking stuff. And we just want to sit in a fantasy world and enjoy ourselves. If you're superimposing all of that shit that we're purposely trying to ignore when we go to play our games, you've missed the point of games. And that's your fucking fault. Not everything on planet Earth is your agenda to push down someone's fucking throat. If someone likes or dislikes J.K. Rowling and her politics, that's their own decision to make. You don't have to play Hogwarts Legacy if you don't want. But if you're a gaming journalist with integrity, you have no right to ignore the game like it doesn't exist. It does. You want to know what shouldn't matter? Your fucking political opinion. Because no one gives a fuck about your political opinion. I don't, and the gamers don't. We just want to play fucking video games. So stop panning games because you're a fucking idiot who thinks that everything's about you. It's not. Not everything in life is about your entitled opinions about shit. Alright? We like video games and we want people to fucking enjoy them for what they are. The people who made Hogwarts Legacy went out of their way to make sure that there was inclusion in their game to show that they're not of a bigoted mindset like so many people say J.K. Rowling is, and you still ignored and panned the game. You are an ignorant fucking asshole. You're just as badly bigoted as the person that you criticize. And that's the problem with the Game Awards. %. Those awards cannot be valid if the only people who are nominating and voting on the awards are people who are skewed to a political side or whatever. It's the same thing that happened with The Last of Us 2. I'm not saying The Last of Us 2 was a terrible game. It certainly wasn't. But there was no way that that game should have won every fucking award like it did that year. It was 100% political. And the Game Awards should not be political. They should be based on actual quality of the games played. Not on, oh, well, it's my political belief, so I fucking like or dislike it. It's insane. It's, you know, so, yeah, I'm pissed off. Because, yes, 100% the Game Awards are invalid this year because there's nothing with Hogwarts Legacy. Even if they had nominated it for one award, all right, you would have been like, okay, at least it's valid. They literally purposefully ignored the game like it doesn't exist. What a bunch of pussies. That's literally the definition of a pussy. I'm so afraid to actually say that something that's good is actually good because some other people in the political spectrum might criticize me. Well, then quit. If you're not going to be legit, you're not going to be transparent, and you're not going to be, you know, truthful with your audience. I mean, journalism is supposed to be truth coming through. Reporting of facts, truth, not fucking agendas. So if you're not able to do that because you're so afraid of your community, then fucking quit and go do something else, right? Any other job. That way we don't have to have our industry full of these fucking ninnies and sissies who can't fucking be honest. And instead they all got to kiss each other's butt for certain reasons and got, oh yeah, let's get the movement going of this and that. But then we pan this and that. In truth, is there a problem with bigotry? Yes, there is. Absolutely there is. There's problems with bigotry all over this planet, okay? And we need to tackle the real issues, right? If you believe J.K. Rowling really is a bigot against trans people, then you have the right to voice that opinion. You absolutely do. And you have a right to say you should boycott her writings or things that she's directly influencing. This is not one of them. This is a case of people literally trying to take their agenda and throw it into the limelight for them to get attention, right? It really was an avenue for them to talk about the trans rights issue on a grand stage for something that literally was nothing to do with it. This game has nothing to do with trans rights at all. In fact, it's the opposite. It represents it nicely in a positive way. And now you've discredited all the people who worked on the game, and you've given them no right to be recognized at the end of the year for their hard work because of your own biased opinions that aren't valid here, you know? I just had enough of this shit. And it pisses me off. These Game Awards every year, people say, oh, well, it's not. And I say it too. They're not the official awards. You're right. The Game Awards are not official. They're not officially the opinion of everyone on the planet of what's good and bad. The problem is people take it that way. People will hear this game got, Game of the Year. This game got no awards. And they'll just think, oh, that's factual truth that this game is great and this game sucks. And that's not the truth at all. In any way, it's not the truth. So people have to stop taking it like that, but people aren't that smart, I feel. You know what I mean? So sadly, now we have the situation where one of the best-selling games of the year, we're at the end of the year, and most people forgot it existed because the Game Awards panned it. For what? Did you really help trans rights by doing that? Like, how much advancement of trans rights do we have because now Hogwarts Legacy will not get a Game Award? Right? I mean, what are you talking about? Your efforts could have been put towards something much more important and much more, much more progressive towards helping the situation with that issue than what you did. But hey, who gets hurt? The game developers, who worked their asses off to try to make a valid game that actually did represent trans people fairly. But fuck them, right? Because at least you got your 5 minutes in of pushing your agenda, right? Wow. Good for you. It's all about everyone and their own selfishness. It's pretty fucking sad in the world. Everyone's about me, me, me. No one just thinks big picture anymore about anything. And that's the sad fact. Everyone, no, I don't care about how it hurts this person or hurts that person as long as I get ahead today, right? And that's what it is. So, it's pretty sad. And, it is what it is. And there's nothing you can do about that. You just put up with it. Okay? Fair enough? All right. Anyway, ladies and gents, it is time for shoutouts. And we're very late because I had a lot of topics to talk about today. So let's jump into shoutouts, shall we? So, the X-Rated Reaper did a super chat and said, "Hi, Phil, what's your favorite Silent Hill game?" Probably 2, but I haven't really played the originals in a very long time. 3, 3 is kind of weak around the end. So maybe 1 or 2, I don't know. Probably 2. John Nepper re-upped his membership for 17 months and says, "If Mario RPG doesn't happen, RoboCop maybe." Well, we talked about that. Again, I need everyone's feedback. What is it that you want to see me start on Friday? I absolutely would appreciate your feedback. Gatezra did a super chat and says, "I'd love to see Super Mario RPG, but you do you." Right. And the thing is, I told you, my preferences would either be Super Mario RPG or RoboCop. Like, those would be my 2 preferences. But I guess we'll see. Jay Davis with a $10 super chat. "Phil, hope you have a good day. Here's a little bit for my appreciation." Well, thank you to Jay Davis for that. I appreciate that. And Bobby Padlock re-upped their membership for 25 months. This is Alan Sweep. He thinks Alan Wake will sweep the awards. I certainly hope Alan Wake wins some awards. I don't know if Alan Wake will win a bunch of significant awards. I'm just being honest. But I would hope that it wins something. I really feel like it is one of the most innovative games I've played in years with some of the risks it took and the things it did. And it should be recognized for those risks. So I hope that it does win some stuff. I don't know if it's going to win Game of the Year. I really feel like Baldur's Gate 3 or Zelda Tears of the Kingdom are the 2 front runners for Game of the Year because of journalists who are going to vote. And I really feel like the journalists are going to vote in those directions. So, I guess we'll see. Okay. On the tip side of things, I received a $1 tip. Someone says, "What about Pizza Tower for PC?" It's fairly cheap, $15. It's a great combination of Sonic and Mario. Everyone loves the game. It has a flow, hand-drawn characters, and humor. Nominated for a Best New Indie Game. It's fairly short, depending on how you play, and it suits your Italian heritage. What in the heck is Pizza Tower? I have no idea what that is. Pizza Tower? What is that? It's the spiritual indie take on Wario Land. Really? Well, interesting. Troll tip, the game is terrible. It's streamer bait, it's only mid at best. There you go. Well, I'll take in your opinions on this stuff, guys. Shout out to Play-Doh. Play-Doh is here and gifted a membership, and it went to Super Slade. Congratulations, Super Slade, on receiving that gifted membership, and thank you to Play-Doh for your support. I really appreciate that. Oh my goodness, excuse me. Ooh. Okay, let's see here. I received a, excuse me, a $20 tip from 1 Minute Man. Wow, 1 Minute Man has been having a lot to say recently. I guess he's been watching the excuse me, I'm stupid cold. I guess he's been watching the podcast. So here's what 1 Minute Man has to say. If I made video games, I would care more about how many copies are sold than any awards. Copies sold speak for themselves. There you go. I mean, and you know what? That is very truthful. Hogwarts Legacy sold an insane amount. Like, they never were planning on it to sell that much, and it sold insane amounts of copies. Okay, it really did. However, I hate to say it, but yeah, this kind of stuff does matter. Because, for example, let's say, remember, Hogwarts Legacy came out in February. How many people are thinking or talking about Hogwarts Legacy now in November? No one, right? Everyone's forgotten about it. We're all on to other games. If that game was nominated at the Game Awards for multiple awards and was getting recognized for its excellence in these various ways, it would be in the realm of discussion again. People would be talking about it, and people would be, oh, maybe some people would want to buy it for the end of the year who didn't have it earlier in the year and stuff like that. And instead, it's as if the game never existed, right? And because of that, the game that should have maybe have word of mouth, boost right now for the end of the year gets nothing, right? So it's just sad because you get a situation where you know that the game was good. It's not, again, I personally don't think it's game of the year, but it was a solid, great game that certainly I think will actually make my top 10 games of the year. I think it will. It'll probably be near the bottom, but it's certainly a game that was unique and interesting and did something that people have always wanted, right? Take that Harry Potter universe, make it an open world interactive game. So it can hurt. It really can. It can hurt a game that should have had more legs than it does. It had that popularity for a time. Excuse me, now I got a tickle in my throat that won't go away. It had that popularity for a time, but now people won't even act like it ever existed. Because it's, again, it seems like after the hype of the initial sales and the actual gamers talking about it died out, now you will never hear the journalists talk about it ever again. It could hurt. People definitely, I feel, underestimate the impact of the journalistic community. If they blacklist or blackball a game, you'll never hear of it ever again, as if it never existed. What if they just refuse to cover it when the next one's coming out? They just, oh, we're not going to cover it. We're not going to talk about it, right? It could really hurt. But I hear what you're saying. It's really numbers that speak. My God, I can't stop coughing. Okay. So I think that pretty much covers it. Yes. I think that pretty much covers it. Everything that we had to talk about today, unless anyone has a last minute question, if you'd like to tag me in the chat. and anything else to say or discuss before we adjourn, right? Please let me know. Yes, I'm still getting over being sick. It's you can still hear congestion up here in my sinuses, and I still got tickle in my throat. It still sucks. When are my game awards? I typically do them around the 1st to 2nd week of January. It depends on if I have lingering playthroughs and things I need to finish at the end of the year. But typically it's the 1st week of January is when I will count down my most disappointing games of the year and my best games of the year. One idea people had for this year is that this year I set up a thread where people will nominate their favorite playthrough of the year. So it's not necessarily what do you think was the best game of the year, but what was Darkside Phil's best playthroughs of the year. And people will be able to nominate and vote, and then we actually count them down in a separate countdown. And I was thinking of setting that up maybe in December for you guys to start working on. Sure. Michael Kane says, I hope we'll get more PC exclusive playthroughs. Chrono Trigger was one of your best of the year. Jay says, tip for Modern Warfare 3, everyone has more health. It takes more shots to kill. No tea is not going to magically heal my sickness. Beans is taking off. Goodbye, Beans. Anything else? Are we good? Ooh. Oh. Oh. Oh, man. Ooh. All right, I guess it's time to end. We're going to end the show. Thank you all for watching. And thanks to those who chilled and supported. Tomorrow, I'm not sure what we'll talk about tomorrow. I'll probably give my initial impressions on Like a Dragon Gaiden, for sure. But I don't know what else is going to happen. Any gaming news or whatever. I guess we'll see. But a great show today. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm excited to jump into Like a Dragon Gaiden. I hope you guys are too. I'll see you in just a sec. But for those who are watching this on demand, I wish you all a safe and fun day. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Peace out.